Hello and welcome to this video on how Russia became so massive. With its vast land area spanning across two continents, Russia is truly a global giant, encompassing more than 1/8 of the Earth's total land area. In this video, we will unravel the secrets behind Russia's incredible size and explore the fascinating factors that have shaped its expansion over the centuries. From its unique geography and ancient origins to the rise of the Russian Empire and the sweeping changes brought about by the Soviet Union, I will take you on a thrilling ride through this turbulent and dynamic history of this mighty nation. We'll delve into the epic battles, political intrigues, and grand ambitions that have driven Russia's quest for territorial expansion, as well as the profound impact that this vastness has had on its people and culture. And finally, we'll examine the legacy of this incredible journey and what it means for Russia today. So strap in and get ready for an exhilarating adventure as we explore how Russia became one of the most massive and powerful countries in the world. But before we go further, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, then please do it and make sure you press the bell icon so you don't miss any of my new exciting videos like this one. You can also look into becoming a member of this channel or my patron by going to patreon.com/xmuslim and enjoy some of the amazing benefits this channel has to offer. Russia's geography has played a significant role in its growth and expansion. The country spans two continents and covers an area of over 17 million square kilometers. Its vast plains, mountain ranges, forests, and rivers provide both opportunities and challenges for its inhabitants. The country's main rivers, including the Volga, Don, and Dnieper rivers, provided early settlers with transportation and trade routes, making it easier for different regions to communicate and exchange goods. The country's main ports along its vast coastline also made it easier for traders to access markets in Europe and Asia. At the same time, the mountain ranges and forests provided natural barriers that protected the country from invasion and enabled its inhabitants to defend themselves against foreign invaders. Russia's early history is marked by a series of migrations and invasions that contributed to its growth and expansion. The earliest inhabitants of the region were nomadic tribes who moved across the plains in search of food and resources. In the first millennium BC, the Scythians dominated the region, followed by the Sarmatians. The Goths migrated into the region in the 3rd century AD and established a powerful kingdom that lasted until the 5th century AD, when it was destroyed by the Huns. The Huns were followed by the Avars, who established a powerful empire that lasted until the 8th century AD. In the 9th century AD, the Varangians, also known as the Vikings, established the Kievan Rus, a powerful state that included parts of modern-day Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. In the 13th century, the Mongols invaded Russia and established the Golden Horde. The Mongol occupation lasted for more than 2 centuries and had a profound impact on the region, influencing its culture, politics, and economy. In the late 15th century, Ivan III, also known as Ivan the Great, managed to break free from Mongol rule and established a centralized state. Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Terrible, continued Ivan III's work and expanded the state's territory, making it the largest country in Europe by the 16th century. In the early 17th century, the Russian Tsar granted permission to a group of merchants to explore the vast Siberian region. The merchants soon established trade relations with local tribes and discovered the wealth of the area in terms of fur and other natural resources. The Russian government recognized the strategic importance of Siberia and began to send expeditions to expand their territory. In the late 16th century, the Cossacks, a group of Russian warriors, began to move eastward, establishing settlements along the way. The Cossacks were skilled warriors and were able to conquer territories, including parts of Siberia, from other tribes and nations. In 1648, the Russian Cossack leader Yakov Cherkassky led an expedition that resulted in the conquest of the Amur region, which is located along the border with modern-day China. This expansion gave Russia access to the Pacific Ocean and allowed the country to establish trade relations with Japan. However, China claims that Russia took the territory by force and that it rightfully belongs to China. This has led to a long-standing border dispute between the two countries, which has at times resulted in tensions between them. This centuries-old Russian expansion led to a war with China in 1969. The conflict, which is sometimes referred to as the Sino-Soviet border conflict or the Zanbao Island incident, resulted in a number of casualties on both sides and marked a significant low point in relations between China and the Soviet Union. The conflict was ultimately resolved through diplomatic means, but it further strained the already tenuous relationship between the two countries. In the late 17th century, Peter the Great continued Russia's expansion towards the east, founding the city of Vladivostok in 1697. Under Catherine the Great, Russia expanded its control over the eastern and northern regions of China, including the area of Outer Manchuria. China has territorial claims over this Russian expansion as well, and the issue remains unresolved to this day. In the 18th century, Peter the Great modernized Russia, introducing European technology and culture to the country. Under Peter's rule, Russia became a major European power, and by the end of the century, it had expanded its territory to include Siberia, Alaska, and parts of Central Asia. In the early 18th century, Russian explorers began to explore the Alaskan coast and establish trade relations with the local native populations. In 1741, the explorer Vitus Bering landed on Alaska's mainland, and the Russian government claimed the territory as their own. For the next century, Russia maintained its control over Alaska, using the territory as a source of fur and other natural resources. However, the Russian presence in Alaska was limited, with only a few small settlements established in the region. In the mid-19th century, Russia's interest in Alaska began to wane. The territory was costly to maintain, and the profits from the fur trade had declined. In addition, the Russian government was facing other challenges, including the growing threat of British and American expansion in the Pacific. This, however, was Russia at its biggest. Ignoring the later size of the Soviet Union, this was a mammoth empire. It was touching Ukraine and Hungary in the west and Canada in the east, which was ironically considered a Western country itself. In the 18th century, before the modern times, Russia's size at that time was roughly 21 million square kilometers. Its later version, the Soviet Union, would be slightly bigger at 22.4 million square kilometers. Anyway, in 1867, the Russian government decided to sell Alaska to the United States for $7.2 million. The sale was negotiated by William Seward, the U.S. Secretary of State, and was initially met with skepticism by the American public, who saw Alaska as a barren and remote region of little value. However, the acquisition of Alaska turned out to be a smart move for the United States. The territory was rich in natural resources, including gold and oil, and was strategically located between the Pacific and Arctic Oceans. The transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States was completed in October 1867, and the territory became the Department of Alaska. Over time, Alaska became an important part of the United States, with a growing population and a thriving economy. The 19th century saw further expansion, with Russia annexing the Caucasus, Central Asia, and parts of Eastern Europe. The country's growth and expansion were fueled by its vast natural resources, including timber, mineral, and oil. During the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905, Russia suffered a significant defeat, losing control of Port Arthur and other territories in Manchuria to Japan. This defeat marked a turning point in Russia's expansion towards the east and the beginning of a decline in the country's power and influence in the region. In 1917, the Russian Revolution saw the overthrow of the monarchy and the establishment of the Soviet Union. Under Soviet rule, Russia continued to expand its territory, annexing parts of Eastern Europe and the Baltic states. The Soviet Union was a global superpower, and its influence extended to other parts of the world, including Cuba and Vietnam. However, the country's growth and expansion came at a great cost, with millions of people dying under Stalin's rule and the economy struggling to keep up with the demands of the state. After the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia experienced a period of economic and political turmoil. The country went through a period of transition, moving from a centrally planned economy to a market economy, which resulted in widespread poverty and inequality. During this time, Russia's territorial boundaries also changed, with some regions such as Chechnya seeking independence from Russia. However, the Russian government was able to maintain its control over these regions through military force. Despite these challenges, Russia has remained a major world power. In recent years, the country has sought to reassert its influence on the global stage, particularly in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Today, Russia remains one of the largest countries in the world, spanning 2 continents and covering a vast area of land. Its history of expansion and growth has been shaped by its geography, politics, and economy, as well as its leaders and people. In conclusion, Russia's massive size is the result of a complex and varied history, from the migrations of early nomadic tribes to the emergence of the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union. Its growth and expansion have been shaped by a variety of factors, including its geography, natural resources, and political leadership. Despite the challenges it has faced, Russia remains a major world power, and despite the challenges of falling population, a shrinking economy, and authoritarianism, Russia is likely to remain the largest country in the world for quite some time, unless the war in Ukraine goes horribly wrong. If you like this video, please hit those like and share buttons. If you disagreed with something or I forgot to cover something, let me know in the comments below. That's it for now. Until the next video, salute. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.